Welcome along. It is Friday morning's Off the Ball Breakfast. It is 7:30. It is the 29th of August, and we have plenty to come between now and around about 9:30 or so on this morning's show. We're going to discuss the morning's newspaper headlines very shortly. What a night it was for Irish football last night. Both Shamrock Rovers and Shelbourne progressing to the league phase of the UEFA Conference League. We'll have Owen Heary and Barry Murphy in studio at around 8 o'clock, 8:05 or so, to reflect on an unbelievable night for Irish football. Alan Quinlan and Susanna Mullen are going to be with us from around 8:30 to look ahead to Ireland's second game at the Women's Rugby World Cup over in England. They're in Franklin's Gardens in Northampton again on Sunday at 12 noon against Spain, so we'll look ahead to that one. Phil Egan in studio just after 9 o'clock as well this morning to discuss more football because, well, it's a big weekend in the Premier League. You have Liverpool versus Arsenal at Anfield. That's one of our live and exclusive commentary games, and Off the Ball on Sunday afternoon. That's a 4:30 start on Sunday. We'll also have Brighton versus Manchester City, but there's also a lot of transfer talk as well. Alejandro Garnacho on the way to Chelsea. Kobbie Mainoo apparently wants out of Manchester United on a loan deal. Newcastle have been involved in the market as well for strikers, so plenty to get into with Phil just after 9 o'clock. Keith Treacy is with us for the entire show. Good morning, Keith. How are things?
Great, Shane. I'm on top of the world. How is everybody?
Keeping well. And Arthur O'D, of course, here as well. Arthur, how are things?
Great. How are you?
I love it's just the understated response from Arthur. It's always fantastic.
It's great, is it? It's nothing understated about it.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's what we need. There's loads in the back pages, lads. We'll get into to all of it over the course of the next while. But it would be remiss of us not to mention a great football man who's very sadly passed away in the last day or two. Ollie Horgan, at the age of just 57, a man, of course, linked so strongly to football in Galway, where he has most recently worked, and indeed in Finn Harps up in Ballybuffet, the work that he's done there over the years. And just a lovely statement released by Galway United, particularly yesterday when I saw this very sad news come through. But Keith, you'll have crossed paths with Ollie over the years, and a great football man and a great character in the sport as well in this country.
Yeah, a brilliant character, so recognisable. I wouldn't claim to know Ollie very well at all, but I would have played against these teams an awful lot back in the day. I would have said hello to him at the side of League of Ireland grounds while I was doing some punditry work, and he was a man that was very easy to take to. He called a spade, and in a modern time where everybody's trying to put bells and whistles on football and make it, pretty, he was very to the point and very straightforward about things, and it was something that really endeared him to me, is just how straight talking he was. And I think when him and John Caulfield took up the Galway job, you could see that straight talking approach with the two personalities really worked well. And when I think of Ollie Horgan, I think of the time he had at Finn Harps and how just up against it he was year after year after year, but constantly churning out result after result and having relative success with Finn Harps at that level. So yeah, my thoughts and prayers go out to Ollie's family and his loved ones, and yeah, it's a huge loss for the League of Ireland. The word legend is bandied around an awful lot these days, but he's a proper League of Ireland legend and he will be missed.
Yeah, some man, Arthur, wasn't he? Like you just think of Ollie and you think of that long flowing hair often in the wind up in Ballybuffet as well. I've seen like loads of images of him just walking into matches with the tactics board under his arm, and I don't know, just one of those characters. And as I say, 57 is just no age.
Yeah, no, one of those figures that kind of just gives the whole thing colour, just brightens it up and almost shows like the humanity of it, where like, as you're kind of saying, like I suppose football particularly has such a tendency, like it's somewhat can become like sort of automatons, that it's kind of like all so technical, and you see it then increasingly coming into GA as well, like where everything's shut up. We got to be super uber professional. It's not that he wasn't an uber professional what he was doing, but just his way of doing it was. It's just that kind of that sort of embodiment of common sense, where it was just like, yeah, there was like it's very it's very rare you have someone where that news kind of comes through and there's universal kind of just fondness for people who know him to varying degrees. Whatever else, it's just that warmth towards him. I suppose you only get that when you exude that yourself. You're only putting that out in the world, and that's where you get it back. And I'm sure he'll be very sorely missed by an awful lot of people. But it's a tragic loss for his family. It's no age. Like it is an extremely sad situation. It's very young, like.
Yeah, and it is his wife Anita and his children Emma, Anthony, Brendan, Connor, David, his sister Mary, brother Jared. Thinking of all those people today, and of course he was predeceased by his mother Bernie and his father Joe and his brother Martin, who was a big football man as well, who passed away just at the start of last year, I think it was. But yeah, Vinnie Perth spoke about him really well on the show last night as well with Nathan and Owen from Tallaght Stadium, and talking about the bust ups on the sideline with Ollie, but it would always be best of friends after the match. Like there was never a grudge held, and little things like he would just he would mow the grass sometimes with the Finn Harps himself and bring the lines in maybe a few yards if they were playing a big team.
And not mow the grass.
Or not mow the grass.
Let the grass grow. I was listening to Vinny last night, just before in the build up to the game, speaking about it, and he was an absolute character. He was speaking about the showers overflowing once and they're only being cold water, and I always used the word, I was lucky enough not to play in Ballybuffet in my time in the League of Ireland. I always had a hamstring strain whenever we played Finn Harps away, so I only ever played Ollie in Dublin. I never actually travelled to Ballybuffet. I never got all that sort of dark arts and stuff, but I love that sort of stuff. I remember I went on trial to Sunderland when I was really young, and he brought me into the home team dressing room, and there was all colour in the tiles and the seats were padded, and then he brought us into the away team dressing room. It was just grey, dreary white walls. There was wooden seats to sit on. There was no hot water, and Sunderland, the people that were showing us around, basically said, look, we try everything to squeeze every little last drop out of what we can get. And yeah, it's very similar to what Ollie was doing at Finn Harps, and like you say, an absolute legend, and he'll be missed.
And Michael D. Higgins, obviously a great football man as well, and Galway United man, released a statement yesterday as well saying he was one of the most respected and popular people in the League of Ireland, will be warmly remembered for his wonderful management and intense passion for the game. Deeply missed by the whole League of Ireland community. And I thought the Galway United statement was fascinating as well, talking about his passion for football and just how much he was obsessed with the game as well, and how he'd be not unusual to see him at the junior match in Sligo watching a grassroots match. And Stephen Bradley kind of said that after the match yesterday as well. You could see him anywhere in the country, watching an amateur game or a grassroots game at any given day of the week. Was a very accomplished pianist as well, which I had not.
I know that.
Yeah, which until I read the Galway United statement, it said he was an accomplished pianist, enjoyed the works of Bach and Beethoven. I was a teacher of maths and PE in St Eunan's College, Letterkenny, for over 30 years. So it's amazing the things you find out about someone after they're gone as well. But yeah, thoughts with Ollie Horgan's family. A very sad loss for the footballing community in this country. We'll touch on his career with Barry Murphy and Owen Heary again after 8 o'clock as well. And it was a tribute and a testament, I suppose, to Ollie Horgan and the League of Ireland. What happened last night on the pitch, Keith? So Shelbourne get the job done with a 2-0 win up in Linfield, 5-1 in aggregate. Just an unbelievable performance. And Shamrock Rovers very professionally getting the job done against Santa Clara as well. Was goalless last night, so 2-1 in aggregate. But what a night.
Yeah, a real historic night. It was. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and while I fully expected Shelbourne to go through, I was on the fence about Shamrock Rovers, and just because I thought Santa Clara were so poor in the first leg that they would turn up, and the front three lads up front are so mobile and so quick that I could see a world where Shamrock Rovers got caught playing with the ball in transition, they get hurt. But they were absolutely excellent. A couple of saves from Ed McGinty that I'm sure Baz will touch on when he comes in. But to keep a clean sheet in the second 90 minutes is absolutely massive for Shamrock Rovers. And as you say, a very touching one on the day that Ollie Horgan passes away. 2 Irish teams qualify for group stage football in Europe. Absolutely massive. But look, I thought Shelbourne, I watched the whole of the Shelbourne game and then switched over to the Rovers game towards the end. I thought Shelbourne were fabulous, absolutely brilliant. In the first 45 minutes in particular, the little triangles that McEnroy and Lunny were doing in the middle of the park, and I would have been an awful lot more pragmatic, and I think everybody would have forgiven Joey O'Brien if Shelbourne were a lot more pragmatic and just lumped it into the channel and said, go and play from there, Linfield, you aren't breaking us down. But the way they kept the ball, and this wasn't, we'll wait till the 25th minute when the press is a little bit loose and then we'll start to play. From minute one, triangles all over the place, kept the ball, 5-yard passes, and you could see after about 15-20 minutes, especially after Wood got the first goal, Linfield had enough. They were chasing shadows and didn't want to be there, and that's as comfortable as I've ever seen a League of Ireland team in the European competition. I know we can say Linfield, the opposition, weren't great, but you can only beat what's in front of you, and given the financial rewards and everything at stake, I thought Shelbourne were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and it's 3.8 million euros in the bank now for them, and obviously on the run to the knockout phase last year, Shamrock Rovers put around 6.5 million in the banks. There could be even more on offer for these teams. It's quite incredible money. It's funny, Kenny Cunningham was almost laughing on the TV coverage in the first half at think it was Ali Coote's performance, just saying like it's one of those performances where absolutely everything was going right for him.
Yeah, when he put his head on the pillow the night before, he'd have closed his eyes and think, I'd love to get an assist, I'd love to score a goal, I'd love to be pirouetting on the ball and nutmegging people, and he did all of those things. He was really, really good. His pass for Wood's goal was really good pass to come off the front and turn on your right, and you can see the triggers in the team. When Coote gets his ball with his back to goal, generally be telling people don't run beyond him, because if he loses it, you're really in trouble. But they understand that what the trigger is, what the movement is, and Coote's movement, I think he runs off the back of Chris Shields, which is a very, very rare sight these days to see people running off Chris Shields. But the finish was brilliant from Wood, and as I say, Coote was really good. But the likes of a Lunny, who I thought was excellent when he was on the ball, did really well. But it's the little basics of when you're in possession and you're pushing forward. You can see Lunny checking his left shoulder, his right shoulder, thinking what happens if this breaks down. And McEnroy as well, he's probably been the best signing Shelbourne have had over the last couple of years. He's come in seamlessly, and he's probably the first name on the team sheet now. And again, you don't look at him as this player who will open up defences and all this sort of sexy football, but he does the basics really well, wins his individual battle, and just keeps the game ticking over for Shelbourne. So some players in there that don't really catch the limelight, but Wood and Q, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, something else, isn't it? Like
for
Irish football to have two in the Conference League group phase as it is.
Yeah, and it is mad, because I suppose it's still a relatively new competition, so the whole thing is not like you can't necessarily measure.
Yeah,
it's unprecedented success insofar as that you couldn't possibly have happened before, but it's just remarkable how effectively it was done. There's no fluke element to it. There's no kind of, for Shamrock Rovers to go to Portugal, win 2-1 and come back and just do what they need to do to get it done. It's the kind of stuff you'd be over the moon if it was Ireland doing that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's a very interesting thing now heading into the next 2 weeks, where it's where we have, I know, bring everything back to the national team or whatever, where you have Hungary and Armenia, and we need 4 points minimum, which is the equivalent to what they did there. So you're it's a very interesting thing about, can you match that? Because it's, God almighty, it's a very interesting place where teams in the League of Ireland now at the relative level are kind of outperforming what Ireland are doing at an international level. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're creating an expectation that this is going to be the thing going forward. Now we're going to expect certainly one, if not two, Irish teams in league phase.
Well, I think it's brilliant. Over probably an 18-month period, we used to ask, can we go and compete with these teams? Now we're asking, how far can we go? And it's been absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it's excellent. And I think there's a wider conversation that I'm sure we'll get into at some point, but a lot of the Rovers fans and League of Ireland fans are saying to me, what about Josh Honohan getting into the Republic of Ireland team? I think it's possibly a little bit too early, but when you open it up now and Shelbourne players, they could get Crystal Palace or the Florentina, AZ Alkmaar. The level of players that they're going to be playing against probably does now put them into a bracket of, they'd be spoke about getting into the Irish team. So, and especially with Shamrock Rovers getting group stage football last season and the rewards financially that they got, obviously getting it again. We don't want Shamrock Rovers, being this big powerhouse within the league. I know they already are, but financially we need other teams to keep up with them to keep it competitive, and that's why it's so good that Shelbourne have obviously got the rewards as well.
And it's not you don't want to be necessarily talking about these things, what it breaks up or whatever. But I was reading, I was talking on Monday, reading thing over the weekend. I think the next Scotland squad, there's going to be 6 players. I think there's 6 players in there who are playing in Italy.
Right. I
think maybe 5 in Serie A, 1 in Serie B or something like that. And it's not, again, you're not it's just interesting that the further it goes, it's the further these teams go that people start paying more attention to Ireland, and all of a sudden, because the big thing with the big reason so many of them end up going is because a lot of guys get a lot of first team football from their late teens in Scotland, because that's the level it's kind of at. So then you've got the guys who are 18, 19, 20 with 100 games of senior football, so it's kind of completely undervalued. And it's a similar sort of thing here we have kind of, and maybe you're not going into a Serie A team or whatever, but it's still an interesting thing where that opens up, more people pay attention, more money comes in, facilities improve, everything kind of gradually builds up and up and up in an ideal world. And that exposure that you're going to have Irish teams playing in 12 games now, I suppose 6 each across the next few months. that whole, a load of different teams. People will encounter Irish football that haven't before.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. Like it's crazy, but it's a great. It'd be very. I'd love to get it's impossible to do so, but get a general European-wide feel for this competition, because it's been such a big boost for the likes of Irish football to have this. Because it's like Europa League probably wouldn't happen. This wouldn't be a runner. But it's it's been such a massive boost. Like the money coming in is kind of crazy. Financially speaking, yeah,
ridiculous. And I know this isn't the way they want to think of it, but it puts players in a shop window as well.
Yeah.
To a market that wouldn't otherwise have seen them.
Well, I think the best thing for the Conference League is that the ones who don't qualify for the Europa League or the Champions League, there's no fail-safe now. So if you get knocked out of the Champions League, you don't drop down to the lower level. If you get knocked out of the Europa League, you don't drop down to the Conference League, whereas you would have, and that would have probably extinguished all the Irish teams getting through. So I think it's a really good format, and I'm really enjoying the new league phase, should we call it, of the European stuff. And I think it's excellent. And 2 teams this year, imagine what we can do next year. But it's excellent, isn't it, with all the games going to be in Tala. Unbelievable. I can't wait.
Yeah, and the draw will be, I think it's just after 12 noon today. It's at the Grimaldi Forum in Monte Carlo, Monaco. Not a bad
You can
gig.
imagine being a Shelbourne player just waiting for that draw. I know Shamrock Rovers have done it last year, possibly getting a little, I wouldn't say getting used to it, but just training today and thinking that draws at 12 o'clock, our names in the hat, who are we going to get? It's brilliant.
And it's a buzz either way, and straight away, like Nathan was chatting to Stephen Bradley after the match last night, straight away the talk is, can you get through again? Can you be aiming for the whatever it is, the top? Well, certainly the top 8 will be unbelievable, but to get anywhere to get you another game would be just something special for both of these teams. Yeah, it's hard to quantify it. And then the McGinty save obviously is the moment where you look back last night, and obviously we'll get into that with Barry Murphy, but it was just incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, I came across Ed a couple of years ago. I went to do a bit of training with Sligo while Liam Buckley was there, and Ed was the goalkeeper, and he was a really good goalkeeper, and Liam kept telling me, this lad, Keith, he's brilliant, he's going to go places. And I could see him, he wasn't doing shot stopping, he was just doing, the centre halves were giving him the ball, he was getting it out of his feet and spraying it to the left and to the right with both feet. And I remember looking at him thinking he definitely has the work ethic to go places. And some of the saves, the one that he tips over the bar last night is a brilliant save. There's a wide free kick that's whipped in head height that he sort of has to hold his line, because if it gets a flick, it's just going to go past him. But he parries it into a bad area but gets away with it. But it's a decent save overall, and I'm delighted for Ed, because there was a time when he first came into the building that there was big question marks over him possibly not being good enough, but he's quickly extinguished all those, and his performance last night was brilliant, as were all the defending Shamrock Rovers players. Well, to be fair, all the Shamrock Rovers players I think were a minimum of 8 out of 10, and clean sheet against Santa Clara, 5th in the Portuguese last season. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, it's some going. And as I said, we'd live exclusive commentary of that game on Off the Ball and News Talk last night. Vinny Perth was alongside Nathan Murphy for that one. And as I said, Nathan caught up with the Shamrock Rovers manager, Stephen Bradley, after the game.
To do this 3 out of 4 years and win leagues while you're doing it, and is incredible what these players are doing and what they've done. But you have to keep challenging them for more, because we don't stand still. It's not about patting ourselves on the back and saying well done. It's about wanting more and want to be better. And the day that I accept, or we accept, that we're okay, we're in trouble. So like you said, we never go in thinking we're underdogs. We never go in thinking that the levels we're against is far superior. That's not what we think. We go in and we bring what we bring to the game, and then we trust that will take us into a good place.
And I assume that'll extend into tomorrow as well in the draw, where, listen, I'm sure everyone, the players, would like a bit of glamour and maybe a trip to Fiorentina or something like that. But you're going to be in pot 2. You're going to be looking at this as a possibility of finishing top 8 again, potentially going straight through to the last 16. Like, you can go into this with a bit of ambition, I'm sure. We're getting carried away with myself now.
Yeah, be careful. Now let's see the draw. Let's see what the draw throws up. Your home games are really important, so it'd be interesting to see what ones we get. Nola's over there. It'll be interesting to see what draw we get. But when it comes round, I don't think we play a game in September. But when it comes round, we'll be ready to go. And the aim will be to pick up results and pick up wins, and let's see where that takes us.
And 2 Irish teams in that draw, with Shelbourne getting through as well tonight.
Incredible. I've been saying that we shouldn't limit what we expect from each other, what we expect from this league. And I felt the next step was doing something like this in Europe. Could too go and play league phase football, and and we both have managed to do that tonight. And with everything that's going on, with the need of the government helping us grow this league, nights like tonight can only help that cause. And we've seen over the last 3 years what a league phase campaign can do for the interest in the league, the general public coming to watch games, and then they become League of Ireland fans, and having 2 teams from the league playing right up to Christmas is only good for the league, and it can only help grow the league in a positive way. So I'm delighted that we've both achieved it tonight.
You spoke yesterday about the support that you and the family have received over the last few weeks. Can you talk about that moment in front of the South Stand, and they're singing Josh's name, and you've Josh there on the pitch with you, and you've just had a night like this on the pitch as well?
These fans have been incredible for me and my family the last few years. The support they've given us through some tough times has been incredible. Josh said to me today before I left the house, "You better win the game, because I want to get on the pitch." And I said to him at the end there, you get your moment with the fans. To give him that moment for them is special, and I can't thank him enough for that. He's the happiest boy in Ireland right now. So incredible. After the high of last week, go and win the game, then finish it off here, and Josh to go on the pitch and celebrate with the South Stand. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Just to finish on a slightly different note, there's obviously a sense of sadness around the league today as well, with the news that came through earlier on about Ollie Horgan, who was just such an iconic figure in the league and maybe summed up what the league can be as much as anybody else.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers go to Ollie's family. The league has lost one of the truly great people that's ever been in the league. He's respected up and down the country. His work ethic was incredible. A gentleman, a fiery character on the sideline, a funny character on the sideline, but a really clever man. Knew his football inside out, knew every player in the country inside out. I'd go to Sunday league games in Tala, and Ollie be sitting there behind the goal. That was him. He did his work. He was special. He'd be missed by all, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time. But yeah, a truly legend is thrown around too often. Ollie is a special man and a legend.
Well said, and well done tonight.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yeah, nice words there from the Shamrock Rovers boss, Stephen Bradley, speaking to Nathan Murphy in Tallaght Stadium last night after his side's 0-0 draw with Santa Clara. And of course, they progressed 2-1 in aggregate to the UEFA Conference League phase, along with Shelbourne, who, as we said, had that 2-0 win up in Linfield to progress 5-1 in aggregate in their game. It is OTB Breakfast with UPMC Orthopaedic Care. When things don't move, rotate or bend like they used to, choose us to help you get back in action. One of the back page headlines, lads in the back page of the Irish Independent: Chelsea and United agree £40 million Garnacho switch. Winger set for bridge, while Magpies move for striker may hasten Isak deal. That's the German striker Nick Voltemade. We'll get into some of that with Feligan later on, but 40 million Alejandro Garnacho sound about right, or is it above or below his fee, do you think?
I think he's a very talented boy, Garnacho, and on the face of it, 40 million is probably a little bit undercooked when you're given, everybody seems to be going for a minimum of 60 million these days. But given his situation at Manchester United, he obviously wants to leave the building. Chelsea obviously know that, so I think they've come in with a bit of a low figure, to be honest with you. But he scored 6 goals and had 2 assists last season, so he's failed to deceive a lot of the time. His stats aren't great, although I look at him and think he's decent. He can run past people, he can change the game, but his attitude at Manchester United for a lot of the time just hasn't been there, and I think that stems from an awful lot of other people's attitude not being quite right. He's looking across the dressing room and thinking, well, if they're getting away with it, I'm going to get away with it. I'm not sure that will change at Chelsea. I'm not sure it's, I think there's an awful lot of turnover there. It's very easy to get lost in the mess, but if he does well there, he'll be loved, and he definitely has the tools to be able to do it. But yeah, I think 40 million is probably in and around right for him, given his circumstances.
It's a weird one in that, if you'd said 2 or 3 years ago to a Manchester United fan that they'd be selling Alejandro Garnacho to Chelsea for 40 million, there'd be uproar. Why so low a fee? Why going to Chelsea? But I think you speak to most United fans now and they're quite happy to get him off the books, given those, alleged, personality issues and clashes behind the scenes.
I'm not going to sue you, don't worry.
Well, look, Amran has said it. Like the Europa League final seemed to be a turning point.
There was some falling out, obviously. Like it's hard to know, isn't it? Like 40 million. Yeah, maybe, I suppose. I think their valuation, Man United's was 50.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so it's kind of, and there's a 10% whatever sell-on fee in there, so maybe you make a bit back after. But I don't know. Like it's really interesting because I was looking at it earlier. He's played like 150 games almost, all competitions, which is good going. Like he's only young, but it did feel last year that he'd kind of, there was that little bit of that sort of one trick. And it kind of felt like I found out's a very harsh word. I think he could be great, but I think he needs a lot of work. He needs someone to coach him. And as you're saying there, if you fall out of favour at Chelsea, it's like, Raheem Sterling's there.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of guys there.
Sterling is there, yeah. There's that many of them.
I forgot actually, yeah.
There's so many players there, like that if you're not, I don't know how much time they can give him that. Because he needs a bit of help, I think, just to get himself onto that next level. Because I think in a lot of ways, to be honest with you, with Man United, I think that's exactly what happened to Rashford. That it was just that he didn't get that kind of, maybe it was all the flux and everything else, but he never got taken on to another level. And there's a bit of that with Garnacho last year. So who knows? It's not terrible to lose him.
Once Garnacho sent out that tweet wearing the Aston Villa jersey with Rashford on the back of it, you were starting to think that's a game over. He doesn't want to come back. But when you think that Eze went to Arsenal for, I think it was 60 million, maybe just north of 60 million, and Garnacho was 20 million less.
Yeah.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
How is Eze, who's absolutely on fire, probably one of the hottest wingers in Europe right now, he goes for 60, scored 8 goals and 8 assists last season. Garnacho, out of favour, goes for 40 million.
Yeah, it does, the transfer market doesn't make sense. And there's going to be more, but before 7 o'clock on Monday evening and the deadline, there are going to be more strange transfer fees.
It seems Rasmus Højlund's as good as gone as well.
Right, yeah.
So he's off to Napoli.
And they're obviously missing Lukaku through injury.
Yeah.
Like, see how that goes for Rasmus Højlund. If he's sorry for him, Xavi Simons is, by the way, looks set to complete that €60 million signing to Tottenham Hotspur from RB Leipzig. So we'll get into that with Philippe a bit later on as well. Like Kobbie Mainoo seems to want out of the club, and he got his game time on during the week against Grimsby. It didn't quite go to plan for United, but wants out.
Yeah, but you say he got his game time. You're saying about an English international that he got 90 minutes against Grimsby in a cup, and he's supposed to be satisfied. He's obviously not going to be satisfied with that, and it's very difficult. And fans and people don't like hearing this, but when Mainoo got told you're starting against Grimsby in the cup, it would have felt like a bit of a punishment. Oh, I've got to play there. My God, oh no. And you're on a highway to nothing really, because everybody expected United to go and wipe the floor with Grimsby. If you don't do that, well, even if United beat Grimsby 5-0 and Mainoo was man of the match, he's probably not getting into the Premier League team anyway, because Ruben Amorim has already said, well, he's up against Bruno Fernandes, which as a centre midfielder I would have Kobbie Mainoo all day long. In the number 10, it's obviously a very different proposition. I would put Fernandes in there, but again, the 3-4-3 formation, he's just wedging players in left, right and centre, and it doesn't work. You can't put somebody who's not defensively disciplined, i.e. Bruno Fernandes in a centre midfield position, and think everything's going to be right. You can't play Amad Diallo as a right wing back and think he's not going to be as exposed. Defensively, it's all just a little bit all over the place, and I'm not too sure. It was when Amorim first came into Manchester United, people said, the 3-4-3, he'll make it work, this is the way he goes about it. It's been used as a stick to beat him now, and when that starts to happen, it generally doesn't turn around.
The problem is with this, with this, Amorim sticking so rigidly to his system, is he can't change now. If he changes now, it shows complete weakness. It shows a lack of faith maybe in it as soon as things start to go wrong. I feel like he's almost screwed either way. That they're losing games sticking to his system, but if he changes system, he's shown weakness. So I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? Like I agree with you. Like to change, it would become such a big topic that you'd be just talking about that for the next month. Like that'd be just it. It would dominate. But I don't know. Like I'd love to know, like, from someone who really understands it. Like I don't suppose. Like I presume when that works well, it doesn't. Like I just find it interesting. Like it's not like there must be more nuance to it. Like the way it's like. it can't, like Man United played 4 at the back an awful lot of time under Ten Hag and were useless. And they were caught out. The gap between midfield and the defence was glaring, and they'd get opened up, absolutely no issue whatsoever. So I don't know, like, if it's a case of is that really the only cause of the problems, like, or is it just the most obvious thing we can all latch onto?
Did you hear Alex Iwobi's interview after the Fulham game? Basically said we worked on it all week in training, that if we get the other side of their midfield, the centre halves won't want to jump and we'll have all sorts of room.
So predictable.
You've got, Alex, the opposition team is telling you exactly their tactics. Get the other side of their midfield, they can't recover, and the centre halves don't want to jump.
Yeah.
So easy, but yet you're saying we're going to play a 3-4-3. I'm going to make you stand on the halfway line. I'm going to push Casemiro up into places that he can't recover from. Bruno Fernandes is going to be up high and doesn't want to run back. Amad Diallo is an attacker who doesn't want to run back. There's so much that you're wedging in there, and football is, it's more complicated than saying just throw good players on the pitch and something will happen. He's won 8 games out of his 34 Premier League games. If this was any other manager, you'd be saying you've got to change. And there was a saying that used to get thrown at me all the time when I wasn't living my life properly. If you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. And if you know you keep doing what they're doing, they're just going to keep getting what they got. And the most telling thing for me, Scott Parker is not, sitting in the training ground this morning, the Burnley manager, thinking which way United are going to set up. He knows exactly how they're going to set up. He knows exactly how they're going to play, and he's had all week now to start having little nuances in how they do it. And it's the first relegation 6-pointer of the season tomorrow.
It is at Old Trafford.
I saw the reference, and I don't know the dates. I should check the dates out. But you remember, so like, say if Burnley were playing Arsenal, and Burnley would know exactly what Arsenal are going to do, and they're going to do it just better. So that's really hard to stop. But you remember that run that Arsenal went on with Arteta, where it was like, did they lose 10 games out of 11 in the league or something crazy? The only one they won, it was Jordan, I think it was during COVID, because the only game they won 1-0 at Old Trafford. And I'll get the dates up, but is it like as a concept, like, they lost an awful lot of games at one point. Like, it looked so nailed on that Arteta was sacked, that it was like, well, there's no question about this. This is completely unacceptable. And they obviously stick with him. And now he's in like his 6 years there, isn't he? Did he arrive in 19? And like, I know he gets slagged off and Arsenal gets slagged off, whatever else. He's done like an outrageous job.
Yeah.
I know they've spent loads of money, but like, and some of it's been fruitless, whatever else. There's been mistakes. But all things considered, they look now possibly like the best team in the country. In England. But like, is it just a case that you just stick with it?
I think United have had so many managers, like winners, proven winners with Mourinho, Van Gaal, so many. David Moyes actually did a half decent job when he was in there, but they've changed over so many managers now that it's got to the point where you're like, well, what's the point in changing him? I think it goes beyond the actual manager. But look, again, I think the 3-4-3 is something that's just going to keep coming back to beat them with. It doesn't suit Manchester United whatsoever. And the one thing I will always come back to, Thomas Frank is probably one of the hottest properties now. He's obviously got the Spurs job, but before he went to Spurs, he was one of the hottest properties as the Brentford manager. And it was because every single game he took the opposition into account. He adapted to the opposition. How did the opposition play? Okay, well, this is how we play. We'll highlight their weaknesses and we'll try and minimise their threats. Whereas it seems like Manchester United and a lot of the other bigger teams just go, well, this is what we do. Never mind what they do. This is what we do. Manchester United aren't in a position to say, well, this is what we do and we'll impose ourselves. You've got 3 good players up the top of the park, but the middle of the pitch is shambolic. They're not highlighting the attributes that the players have. If anything, they're asking them to do, like Harry Maguire standing on the halfway line, running back towards his own goal. And he has attributes, and there'll be other teams in the Premier League that be thinking, we'll have him, but standing on the halfway line, getting into foot races is not Harry Maguire's bag. And if he keeps asking them to do stuff like that, even Šeško looks like a beaten man. When he scored his penalty, he looked like I don't want to be here. You're only in the building. He should have a bounce on him, thinking, look at the crest I'm wearing and look at the jersey I have, where it's more of a, my God, I don't want to be here. This all feels a little bit horrible and toxic. And Luke Shaw did an interview at the start of the season saying, it was all toxic before, but it's not anymore. Still seems pretty toxic to me.
And it seemed the atmosphere in the pre-season trip did genuinely seem to be better. Like, the team seemed to be having bonding sessions, etc., and it all seemed to be going well. But as you said, the predictability of, like, Grimsby were able to dominate them, and to be honest, Grimsby probably should have had that third goal. They were in off the post.
Yeah,
not 100% sure on the offside, but it was a strange one. But either way, Grimsby were dominating Manchester United, particularly in that first half. And as you said, Thomas Frank comes into that Spurs team and straight away gets them playing his style of football, if you want to call it that. But like this United team have had 10 months under Amarin, and I saw a stat that he hasn't put 2 league wins back to back, which is astounding.
Zero consistency, which so worrying. But I don't think there's any player. I know obviously Mbeumo, Cunha and Sheshko are only in the building. I don't think there's any players that you can say have improved under Ruben Amorim. There's nobody that you think, oh well, he's doing well under him. I think everybody's either stood still or gone backwards.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part, isn't it? Like those sort of short-term gains. But now the only thing I'd say is that like other people have, like Solskjaer finished second, right? Mourinho finished second.
Some achievements now. Like, you look back.
But they weren't. Those teams weren't going anywhere. That wasn't. I don't necessarily think that it's. It's kind of that interesting part when we look back now that people, and you see all those clips like of that people put up like sort of out of context of goals that are scored, and it's like, oh geez, they're really onto something here. Like it's like that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like they were useless at some of those points. Like and could never get it together. But I just don't know if they've definitely been in a position where, because if you looked at it now, if you wanted to be very brutal about it, you'd go, geez, before Jim Ratcliffe came in, so the Glazers kind of kept Man United somewhere between 2nd and 7th and 8th since Ferguson left. And you'd go, geez, that'd be a great result now if Jim Ratcliffe could do that, and if Amorim was if you could guarantee that. But nobody was happy when it was 2nd to 8th. Everyone thought it was being run haphazardly. It was disgrace. It was a disaster. So like you can't have it both ways. You can't have it now back in the case where
I believe when Mourinho finished second with United, he said after that's the greatest achievement in football, and everybody took it as a bit of tongue in cheek. But when you look back now, it is a hell of an achievement.
Big time.
I just think that it's kind of I think just let it bottom out, see how low it can go. But it's like, it's just because, like, what else is there to hang on to? Like,
so is there any universe in which, and I'm not defending what's happened at Old Trafford, is there any universe in which we're jumping the gun, notwithstanding horrendous performance against Grimsby, losing that one, but the Arsenal game we all said was better, lost 1-0. Fulham ultimately didn't play well, but still got a draw away from home, which, you know, when you don't play well, you'll take it. And, you know, if they go and beat Burnley, I can't see it happening at the moment, but if they go and beat Burnley 2 or 3-0 tomorrow, all of a sudden things are heading into international break. You've got to win. You've 4 points for your opening 3 games.
You've City away next. Followed by Chelsea.
Yeah.
What you said beforehand was that Ruben Amorim hasn't had back-to-back wins in the Premier League. Yeah, he's done well against Arsenal, but ultimately lost the game because one of their flaws, a poor goalkeeper, was uncovered. And I just think they'll be in games, they might even dominate games, but even lower teams, the likes of a Fulham, will highlight little positions, the other side of your midfield, the lack of centre halves wanting to jump, the defensive weaknesses in certain areas. So yeah, I highlights weaknesses of this Manchester United team will just keep getting highlighted, and while they could have easily beat Arsenal, much the better team, it's a ball into the box that they couldn't defend. And if they defend like that throughout the season, they'll still lose more games than they win. And yeah, it's unconvincing. You can't get behind it, and it's probably more annoying that they can play like that against Arsenal and then play like that against Grimsby. It just leaves you in no man's land thinking, what United are going to turn up?
Exactly. After 9 we'll get into football a bit more. Liverpool versus Arsenal, of course, this weekend, and all those transfers that we've touched on, with Phil Egan joining us in studio just after 9 o'clock. Keep your YouTube comments coming in as well. A few lovely comments on my shirt this morning as well, saying I forgot to take my pyjamas off before I came into the office. So, in fairness, it was 4:15 when I was getting dressed this morning, so it was dark. You know,
keep your sob stories.
Exactly.
We're all up early.
Got changed in the dark, essentially. But thank you for the comments, even if they are slagging off the clothes.